Hey folks, welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host, Mick Lennon. Today we're actually welcomed with Paul from BGF Ravens in our next club series. So Paul, without further ado, do you mind introducing yourself and let me know what the role of the club is?
Yeah, no problem. Hi there, I'm Paul Ning. My role at the club is Director of Rugby and also the men's heads coach as well. Been involved with the club since 2003, so been around the block with them for a while. So
Nice one, 100%, Paul. Yeah, and I've seen you on the team sheet a few times as well, so you're not just a men's coach and director of rugby there.
well, yeah, the latter years now I haven't really been on the team sheet as much now, but no, the old body's starting to fail me there on that side of things.
Sure, that's no excuse, right? It's all failing for all of us at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, cool. Yeah, and look, again, thanks so much for joining us. It's
No,
great.
no problem.
I'm trying to traverse through all the Leinster clubs. It's a slow movement, but we're getting there. So there's a good number of them. And I suppose the first question I kind of normally ask there is, when was the club founded and where, I suppose?
Yeah, so the club was founded back in 1958. So it's old enough. They actually were formed originally by a Unidare factory up in Finglas in the Jamestown Road. So it was a factory team when they started off first. So that's where our grounds were originally, and then they were involved in the business leagues back in the day, and then it just kind of that factory closed, I think, in the 90s, and then it kind of just went then, right, we're still going to be a club, so we separated from the factory altogether.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a funny one because I've played for Guinness Rugby and would have been part of their club now for a long time. I say a long time, probably 3 years or 4 years. But it's funny how the startings of all these ones, as you said, they kind of came from the businesses. The likes of Guinness there started obviously from the Guinness factory. Workers there. And then I was talking to Emerald Warriors there in that club interview, and they were saying it was just a group of lads that went down to Phoenix Park for a couple of, toss around at the ball. So
that's it. Yeah.
It's crazy how these things start, and they obviously just snowball into proper clubs. So it's great to see, and it's great to hear those.
Well, yeah, like that's it. Like as I said, we were Unidare factory, and like up until 2014 is when we actually changed our name. Like, so we were Unidare up till then, but like every week, who are you again? As you're trying to explain. Look, we're Unidare, former factory team, and now we're solely operating as a club. So then that's why we changed to BGF Ravens. So we're just the BGF is Ballymun, Glasnevin and Finglas. So our three catchment areas where we're sort of based, so that was it.
Yeah, 100%. I know it definitely rolls off the tongue easier than the other one, I suppose. It's a good change, I suppose, for PR reasons there. I suppose, like what makes your club different then to others in Leinster? Do you have uniqueness about you?
Look, we've been a very nomadic team as such, I think, since the 90s. Like, we've never had, like, since the factory closed, we never had our own pitch anymore. So we've always been off, like, as like you said, like nomads, going, renting pitches, getting involved. Like, I know since my time at the club, we were training and playing matches up out with Sutton. Mm-hmm. Then it was Dublin, DCU up there on the Ballymun Road. We're there for a good number of years. And then now recently, since the last 10 years, I think now, we've been up out Mount Temple, so on the Malahide Road. So I know we're competing there when we're at Mount Temple, we're competing with the Clontarf area, but it's just we had connections in the school that we were able to rent the pitch for training and matches. So it was kind of good there, but hopefully have something down the pipeline in the next coming years or so.
Yeah, and it is an interesting point. I know Emerald Warriors in that one, they were also saying they're very much nomadic in the sense, and there's probably the same sense where they didn't really have a dedicated home, so they were kind of having to rent pitches and that sense, which is strange in a way. But I think with rugby, as I've seen in even in Guinness, there you have this kind of attention hold on anyone from anywhere, really. Like, lads are going to commute, I suppose you want to call it, to your club if they like it. And I suppose that the fact that Dublin is fairly small, we're kind of blessed in that sense that we can.
Yeah, but like we've got players that are like commuting from Kildare every week,
nice.
Like from Rathangan and up past the Thai and all that stuff. So we've got players commuting. Like, once they got into the club, fell in love with it, whatnot, they just like, yeah, we'll commute. Like, we've got one player currently had to move back home to Roscommon, and he's still commuting up. So
Jesus, fair play.
Yeah. I can't fault the commitment there to a lot of the lads there for that. But yeah, it's good going. So
Yeah, you'd have to start him in the 15 nearly every
yeah,
time. It'd really been an insult at that point. No, that's great. That's great to hear. You know, and it's the passion of rugby, I suppose, in the community, that there is that drive to wanting to take part, and it does.
Yeah,
It
that's
becomes
it.
part of your life. But yeah, I suppose, and I noted there that you don't have a women's division, but is there any plans, I suppose, to create a women's division?
Yeah, so look, in the past there was let's say it was a ladies team. There was I'd say we had 10 ladies, and we'd mixed in with a couple of other clubs and trying to get games going. We kind of fell to the wayside, and then of late now we've been doing a lot of work with the local schools in the Ballymun, Glasnevin and Finglas area of getting youth, trying to get a youth section back up, because we did have a youth team for a couple of years back in, I'd say, 2007 and up for a few years, but that kind of fell off. We're competing against GA clubs and football clubs, and it's just hard in that area. So no, look, the plan is we've been doing a lot of work with the club captain Mick Moore and one of the other club members, Scott Malone. They've been going, with the help of the Leinster CRO in the area, of getting into the schools, getting the foothold in, and trying to get that going again. So and the ladies team is on the plan. Again, it's so hard when you're with no pitch of our own, we're still renting. You have to kind of think about the school are letting us train there and play there as such, and then we're using it one day, but then another club is renting it on the Sunday. So it's hard to get times in on that pitch, I suppose.
Yeah, and it definitely is. With young people coming up there, you are really competing for all these sports, and an awful lot of the sports are coming up there are very, very popular. In Ireland, I suppose it's different and it's unique other than France or England, in the sense that you have the GA, which is massive,
exactly,
and it probably is pulling young people out of it. And I think there's even since the World Cup and maybe a couple of the League of Ireland games have just gotten very exciting. Even soccer has really made a resurgence.
The soccer has taken a big jump, with family members that season ticket holders with Shelbourne, and they can just see it's exploded the last 2 years even. And even my own son is he's fallen in love with football, and you're like, no, go up it this way, and he's like, no, it's football off for him. So it's just hard, but yeah, it's one of those things where I know from when I went to school, I didn't go to a typical rugby school as such, but GAA was forced down our throats, and it's all you knew back then. So, and it was just by sure luck that I just branched off then.
Yeah, no, I think we've come from similar paths there, because I was in Kilbeggan, back in Westmeath, and rugby didn't even get mentioned. There was no such thing as rugby at that part in Westmeath. If you were coming into Mullingar, fair enough, but it wasn't a part of the school even at that point. And even if you hinted at it, if we'll play a bit of tag rugby, a PE or something, but that'd be the height of it. So I can definitely feel that. And it is definitely now kids do want to have those exciting moments, and I suppose the other sports really are. You can see Mayo there winning the All Ireland. That's going to be massive for the kids coming into GAA across the country. So it is a definitely hard competitive scene there for rugby.
But then we also have to compete with the likes of the parents watching the adults games, because we're seeing all these head injuries and head protocols, and then the parents are getting more and more concerned and saying, do I really want my child in doing this? And and that's the stigma they kind of have to try and get around. But it's one that it just comes with education, I suppose.
Yeah, spot on. And I think that the sport nowadays in the last 5 years is drastically different than what we've seen maybe 20 years ago when these parents were growing up. They probably don't even realize how much safety protocols are actually in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yeah, look, best of luck with the drive to recruitment there, and it is something I always try to make sure to focus on, and I'll give you time at the end to try to get that recruitment drive even more onto that.
Cheers.
But I suppose you're just coming off a very successful year. I think last season, I think you had a cup win there. So I think the next question there is, what's the moment in the club that the members remember the most? Maybe it was just last season, was it?
Do you know what? It is one of them that's, it was the league now hadn't gone really great our way, and You know, just the delays with the cup kind of gave us a bit more time, like, as you know, as yourselves, you were in the club as well, but like, it just gave us a bit more time to get together and get what we wanted to work on. And that final then, you know, it was just, we were blitzed at the start, you know, like, what the hell is going on? But then, you know, the comeback and the win by 1 point at the end, it's just that, you know, it's something sweet about it. But it's one of the things that's talked about most at the club. That, and was it the 2018-2019 season?
Mhm.
We went unbeaten for the whole year, and you know, we won the league. That was one of the highlights as well for us. So
Yeah, no, fantastic. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head there, because I think sometimes when you're winning and you win by a point, it nearly does make it sweeter in the sense that
yeah,
you would have lost it. You know?
and like the thing is, we've lost 3 of the last 4 finals I think we've been in. You know, and they've been close as well. And
Mhm.
it's just to get that, like, my very first cup victory, you know, like, you know, and it's just, it was a great moment, and especially having all our families there at the sideline, and it was played in Clontarf, which was close to home as well for a lot of us, and it was great, you know. So
Yeah, there's something special about that as well, isn't it? Having a little bit closer to home, walk across nearly to the pub from the pitch in that
that
sense.
was it. That was it.
Yeah, nice. You know, funny you should hint there at local community, and it obviously is a massive part, you know, because the community is everything for rugby. But you know, how embedded, given that you are a little bit of a nomadic club, how embedded is the club in the local level beyond just rugby, I suppose?
Yeah, like, we're trying to get shoehorn ourselves back more in, because like the last few years we've been in the Malahide Road, so Dublin 3 area, which is generally Clontarf region. But like, we've been shoehorn ourselves back into the Ballymun area as such. Like, we've had a lot. The Leinster CRO was a lot to thank for this, because he's been doing a lot of great stuff up there in Poppendry Youth Project. Like, they've been, like, I think a group of young lads between 16 and 18 all playing rugby, like, and
Oh,
he's
massive.
getting that really going. And in fairness though, we got one lad from who started in that, and he came up to the senior level last year, and he ended up winning a cup in his first full season of senior rugby, like. So
Nice.
it's just great to see, you know.
Yeah, and that's huge for even the young lad's career, I suppose. If you wanted to go a bit further, you know, getting the taste of victory in your first
Yeah, and you
season.
know, and like I said, we've been going into all the local schools. We've been, you know, flyering as such back into in the like Charlestown Shopping Centre, trying to get into Omni there as well. And then the Catalan had I can't remember the name of it now. It was a play days. It was like an open day event.
Mhm.
And like, you know, we had a stall set up there, and Leinster Rugby, thankfully now they supplied, you know, the pop-up rugby targets that you throw the balls in through and all that. And I had great success actually, you know, getting into the area. And a lot of people from the areas don't actually know there's a rugby club or had been a rugby club in that area, and they're only finding out now. And you're like, oh, geez, I never knew. All we
Yeah.
knew was the GAC team and the football team. And it's like, oh, give that a look. And you know, like, one of our lads that lives in like the Ballymun area, like, he put flyers up in a lot of like the fast food places and all that. And we've gotten a few players coming down from that as well. Like,
Mhm.
so it's good getting back into the local area. And again, that's our long term goal, is to try and secure land and a pitch up close to that area, and then really start committing to trying to get everything from that local area, like back to minis and youths and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know, it is kind of hard to even hear clubs. I suppose I keep referencing back to Emerald there, but they are one to do so for that as well. But it's tough not having your own grounds for that. Exactly, we even said the minis, and the minis, you know, and the youth coming up. That's really how you build a club, and it's how
Yeah,
the likes of Mullingar and Tullamore just have these massive clubs, because they just go from age of 5, 6, 7, and
exactly,
it's a
straight
club.
up. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's how I got involved. I got
Mhm.
involved in Clontarf Rugby, and from the underage sections up, and you can just see it's just like, isn't it like a conveyor belt of players just coming up
Yeah.
through. But yeah, like, we've had a very good relationship with Emerald over the years. Like, we played them for years, and yeah, they're very, very much similar in the same position, like themselves and the Dublin Doggos. They're all
Mhm.
like in the same position as us. Like, you know, you're just kind of that traveling Wilbury going around here, there, and everywhere, just to play rugby, you know, a game you love. But you know, we're getting there eventually, I think.
Yeah, but I think even, you know, as you said there, you have those, you know, I wouldn't say problems. They're more just temporary issues. I'm
Yeah,
sure you will get a grounds. You know, I'm sure these things will come because with, you know, if you're putting it out in the universe there and you're campaigning yourselves to get it, but on top of that, you're winning silverware. You know, so it
yeah.
speaks for
Like
itself.
it's like you know, we had the cup last year, and then the last two trophies we won were the 18-19 season, and I think it was the 19-20 season, like the year
Mhm.
just COVID. So, you know, the last few years have been quite successful for us, but and with that success, we actually I've noticed now, like we've gotten a lot more recruitment from it, so which is good.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, and I said it in a couple of episodes before, but you know, the Flyers even themselves are a massive boost for a club anywhere because,
Yeah,
like, I started playing rugby at 29. As I said, I grew up in Westmeath. There just wasn't really an option unless you're tipping into Mullingar every week, which I didn't have the option to. But I, you know, in Drimna here, got a flyer in the door, said no experience needed. Come up to the pitch in Crumlin. I
yeah.
said, I might as well. And you know, the rest was kind of history in that sense. I played 2 bad seasons, I suppose, in terms of when I was playing, but it was great crack, and it was great to get it, you know, involved with the lads there. So, you know, it is volunteer based. At the end of the day, lads have to hand out these flyers. They have to put themselves out there, and they're
And
doing
like
it in the awards.
that's yeah, and that's how, like, you know, clubs like ourselves, Guinness, Emerald, and all that. That's how we all survive. Is like
Mhm.
is the players and the volunteers, the family members, just all mucking in, and it's great to see. Like it brings us close. Like we've had a lot of good family days out, or nights out, and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
you just see how close it gets, and it's brilliant. Like
Yeah. We well, obviously Guinness now. We've benefited a few times from a load of French lads coming over. So
yeah,
don't know how the Flyers get over on the plane, but they're they're definitely successful in that sense. But yeah, speaking of success, I suppose, you know, what does success look like for BGF Ravens then in the next 5 years? I suppose.
and to me, I think the success for the club would be to develop a bit more. You know, um, get a youth set up, maybe hopefully get a lady set up, and then to find our club a pitch of our own. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's the real thing that I really want to see now. And look, we're still, you know, working with the Poppentry Youth Project as well. We've gotten, I think, 5 young lads down for this season during pre-season that have
Nice.
just turned 18, so they can't play up there really anymore.
Mhm.
So just keeping them involved and such like that. And you know, we've been pushing in the schools, the secondary schools there as well, of trying to get those lads that are on the cusp of 17, 18 and try and get an under 18s development team going. But it's hard at the minute, but we're getting there. And then we have the guys that are, you know, players that are currently playing, doing coaching courses and that to try and push that the youth's development as such. So
Yeah.
that's where I see the club trying to go now in the next couple of years anyway.
Yeah, massive, and they're not exactly, you know, out there kind of goals. They're very manageable goals.
Yeah. No, look, everything's manageable, and you know we're trying not to outstretch ourselves as such. You know,
Mhm.
like a lot of lads, you know, they're taking up their time from their family and what like their personal life to do this, and you know, can only expect so much of it. So, but yeah, they're doing well.
No, definitely, yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
look, as I said, silverware is coming out of it, so you're obviously doing
yeah,
something right. Yeah, but no, I said it before that you know, maybe the Minister of Sports will listen into this podcast, and we'll just get the finger out now and get you the grounds out of this if it goes viral. You know.
that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, you can put a plaque of my name there somewhere
Yeah, well, yeah,
in
we'll
in
build
the
a bronze
corner.
statue of you outside. Now we've got a statue. It's okay.
No, 100%. No, but look, best of luck with all those, and I really
Cheers.
hope you do end up hitting those goals because they're very meaningful goals. They have
Yeah,
the backing of a good club. You know, you're looking to get the minis, you're looking to get the women's. That's 9/10 of what you want in a club, and the ground
exactly.
obviously is the best one. But you know, we'll come to that.
Well, that's it. Like, look, the ground, you know, if we can manage without that, but like, you know, it's the other two ones. I think we were really trying to push off the ground is the younger sections and the ladies team. So that's really top of the agenda, I think.
Yeah, no, fair play, and you know, it's coming off of the great success there yesterday, even at Leinster versus Connacht. In those
Yeah,
women's interpros, you know, it's probably one of the obviously they had the Six Nations there, one of the largest crowds they ever had. Pretty much sold
yeah,
out 40,000 tickets, so it's coming up. You know,
it is. Yeah,
it's great to hear. I suppose the next question I have is probably a loaded one, and it might be yourself, so you can talk about yourself if you want. But you know, who's the person that you know, or the player that people still talk about? You know, is there anyone that the club still talks about? I'm sure it's probably yourself, but
Well, I've got a long time on the pitch, so there were probably a couple of stories about me. Maybe none that can be mentioned here, but look, from that, like I was trying to have throwing this conversation out to one or two of the other lads the other day, and you know, there is a few players we still talk about. Some no longer with us and all that like that. Were their development towards when the club was started, but then it would have been their kids. Like I played with both sets of their kids, like one families, the McSweeney's and Healy's, like, and they've been steeped with Unidare history up until BGFs. And one of them, Niall Healy, was coaching me when we won the league in 18-19, and like, you know, I'd still comment about two of them family members a lot when we're on the pitch, like, because fantastic rugby players that never came from a rugby background, and just like myself, you know, joined in when they were younger, like 16, 17, and then just took off, and they've been part of the club ever since. Like, you know, they know not so much anymore, but like they still come out to like any social events that's there, like club events and stuff like that. So it's good to catch up with them then as well. But yeah, like a couple of lads did say, "Oh, myself," but I wouldn't like to put that down now. But yeah.
Sure. Look, it's humble beginnings. You know, if you can talk about yourself in the third person.
Oh yeah, no, because I had a few infamous moments on the pitches and stuff like that. So I try not to say any of it. So.
Right. So what you're saying is I should go back to them now and get them on for a filler episode for this one. Yeah, that sounds good. I know that's great. You know, generational as well. It's a fantastic story there, where, you know, you have kids coming up and wanting to probably nearly play with their parents, in the sense.
But that's it. Like we've had a father and son play there. I don't know, maybe friendly, but it was a couple of years ago. We had father and sons playing together. We've got a lot of brothers playing. We've had over time, and it's a lot of family members. Like, look, you know, one person comes down and gets involved, and it's like, oh, I'll bring my brother down, or I'll bring my cousin down, and that's how most rugby clubs and all that happens a lot. And you know, it is like that down in their place now as well. It's like, oh, my cousin said he's moving up to Dublin for a while, and such, and I'm going to get him involved. So yeah, bring him down. Like, look, like, we'd be like Guinness and every other club that's sort of out there. Like, you know, we every time we flyer or post something, you know, from recruitment, no experience required. You know, we start at the bottom. We've all started there, so you know, it's how it happens.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it's funny, you know, because you wouldn't bat an eyelid of a country GAA club having nearly half the family field of the team, you know. But when it comes to rugby, then it's nearly like, geez, those lads are brothers. That's crazy, do you know?
Yeah.
It's not actually that crazy, you know. We actually do like to play the sport. It's not just
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, moving on from that, you know, I like to ask this one because I played in my very small time as a player, and it was a prop for Guinness there. But there was a couple of pitches now I absolutely hated traveling to, and there was some I absolutely loved to. But do you have any of your best and worst grounds to play a match on?
Worst ground would probably be, I didn't like Guinness's ground, to be honest, because it was a bit boggy and it's a slant. But then again, I did like it because it seems very small.
Yeah.
When you're on the pitch, it seems a lot smaller. So if you're a running sort of player, you're like, oh, have this all day, you know. But then I think it would be Mary's pitch. I just never liked playing. Mary's. Oh, sorry, no, what was the other one? Bechtel's. I hate the 4G pitches.
Oh my god, yeah.
But, you know, like I tore my ACL playing on one there. Like,
oh, Jesus.
And I just don't like playing on them. So I just like, no.
Yeah, they're a different ball game altogether. Even like,
yeah.
Speaking of the ball, like it bounces so different on a 4G pitch.
Exactly, you just don't know where it's gonna go, and you know if it's wet then, or it just dies on the ground, and just, you know, that should have bounced into my hand, like.
Yeah, and it's funny because then you do probably set yourself up for injuries because you're expecting the ball to go some way, and then you're more reactive. Then if it doesn't do that, you'll end up doing.
Like I know from I've had quite a few knee injuries over the years, and every time even if I'm just running around on the 4G pitch, I'm just always cautious of my steps and like what footwear to wear, and I know it could be all in my head, but it's just one of them things that I can't get it out, and it's like, oh no, I'm not playing.
Yeah, 100%. No, I remember the first time I went to play. It was actually Emerald Warriors, but they were renting one out there around. I think it was around St Mary's, but it was I don't even think it was a 4G pitch. It felt like an AstroTurf, but didn't know that coming into it. And by the end of it, my knees were absolutely tore to shreds because everyone else had the Vaseline tub out, and I was like, what are they doing that for? I was very naive at the time.
And that's why I'd be there, the guys at the touchline before with the Vaseline on the knees and the elbows. I'm like, what are you doing that for? It's like, you trust me, you'll know, know tomorrow when you're trying to take your trousers off and it's half your skin is stuck to the inside.
Oh, Jesus. No, that's fair. Yeah, no, and you know what? 100%, I'd agree with you there in terms of the worst ones. And now, look, there probably is science to say that they are a much better, easier maintained pitch.
Yeah, 100%. And for air weather climate, like last year was, I think, was it last December or this December and January was just disaster with games and being called off. Like, I mean, we went to Blackrock and the pitch was frozen still. Like, just the 4G pitches are that bit more hardier that you can play when it's heavy rain and such.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, now look, I'm sure the professionals are well versed in it and they can handle it. But us, unfortunate amateur to semi-professional players, we're not there yet. We don't have a whole team there dedicated to making sure they're not splitting your knees off it. But yeah, I suppose we're coming kind of closer to the end of this interview, and thanks so much again, Paul. It was
no problem. Yeah,
a pleasure. But I have one there. Like I tend to ask everyone, it's if you could get one Leinster or Ireland player to come down for a training session, who would it be?
I was reading through this, and it's very funny. Like when every time Leinster are playing or Ireland are playing, the group chat's going like 90 and stuff like that. And there's generally three players that are always mentioned. Either Gary Ringrose, one of the lads has a massive love for Robbie Henshaw, and then Dan Sheehan as well. So it'll be one of them three, And then look, we past players, Keane Healy, he's only down the road from where we are, and he actually played rugby with. I played a game with him when I was 18, and then one of the other guys went to school with him as well. And he played rugby in schools with him, so potentially try and get him down as well.
Yeah, I'd say Healy probably would actually tip down. I'd say he's very well interested in grassroots rugby at this point.
But I know he's steeped in Clontarf and all that.
He is.
But like, if we're only down the road from his door, and one of his old classmates is on our team, he might swing down, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, straight away, that's if I had to, try to get lads down after these episodes by reaching out to them, I think that would be the easiest call. Some people are saying Hugo Keenan is like, wouldn't even say he knows this podcast exists and won't exist, so that's a much more manageable one. But actually, what? Funny enough, you say Robbie Henshaw, obviously coming from Westmeath.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be all right if I say, look, it'd be slying out to all the Westmeath lads if he didn't do it. So I'll try my best, Paul. No problem. But look, that's great, and it is all about that kind of. I talked about their grassroots rugby, and I think we're all there. This whole series I'm doing, and I wanted to kind of bring attention to these grassroots rugbies and these clubs, and it is it's a passion project for a lot of these people because there's no money involved in the majority of the time. Unless you're maybe getting into St Mary's or Division 1A and stuff like that, you might have a bit of money or maybe
spend more money doing this.
You do. There's holes in wallets. That's all that's coming out of this.
Exactly.
But it is for the love of rugby, and it's for the love of the community and the lads and the women that put their time out. And as you said, they're not professional rugby players. They're all doing their day job and coming down after work to do.
Well, that's it. And then, I think ever since I even joined this club back in 2003, that's all I've ever seen at this club. And I'm sure it's the same at many other clubs. The committee members are either former or current players, and they're doing all the background stuff. And then the players are then mucking in. How can I help? And this, that, and the other. And, you see it now. You see a lot, like lads are down 1 or 2 years, just sort of standing in the back. But then after the second year, they're starting to go, look, to be a bit more bold. I'd like to organise some such and such, and how can I get involved and whatnot? So look, come to the AGM, sit down, listen to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
in the background of the club and what we're all doing. And then from then on, like, we've set subcommittees, you're the social committee, you're going to organise all the parties and stuff like that. And, try and for fundraisers, we need volunteers to go looking at this. And, and then we had like a charity section. Like we had a couple of guys, we organised a charity cycle. We cycled from the RDS to Thomond Park for Temple Street Hospital a couple of years ago.
Fair play.
And we're planning on doing something similar again in the near future. I think we might do RDS to. We're trying to do it at the stadium, so we've done Dublin RDS to Thomond. We're going to try and do RDS to the sports ground, I think, next, and then maybe up in Belfast for the last one. Then, so that's hopefully the plan in the future.
Fair play to them. You'd be tired.
I did the cycle myself last time.
Oh, jeez, fair play.
Yeah, it was tough. It was over 9 hours cycling time, and it was good crack. But there was 20 odd of us, nearly 30 of us on bikes going, and we had a family. One of the team members, his father was in Leinster Rugby, so we were able to get pictures before going, and then we touched base with the Munster Rugby crowd, and they brought us into Thomond Park after the day. Like, so it was I think it was a Saturday when the Lions match was on. They brought us into the stadium, and we got our photos there just at the edge of the pitch and all that. So it was great. Yeah.
No, that's savage. Fair play, and especially the Thomond, because I've made the journey down there for a couple of the the intercross in wintertime.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough going when you're on the motorway. So I don't imagine what it is on the back roads nearly for the cycling,
The back roads of cycling, some parts of it, I think the road between, I think the journey from Newbridge to Portlaoise, that was the worst bit for me, because you were looking at all the hills and you're like,
oh, Jesus.
I'm at the top. I don't know, I have another one to go. And it just kept going like that for a few hours. Like, so.
Oh, jeez, I know it well. Yeah, we used to go out for hikes around Portlaoise the whole time. And the car, you'd be struggling. I had a little 1.2 Polo there, and I'd be thinking, we're not getting up this hill. God help us going back down it.
I know, it was good. And, it got the club spirit, and, it got a lot of people closer together. And what, like rugby like that, it brings lads who generally wouldn't be probably friends outside or whatever close together, and it was great.
Yeah, no, that's 100. I think you said it there. Absolutely struck gold in that one. It's you're on the pitch or you're on the training pitch. It's people you might never have wanted or even wanted to be friends with, but you're just your best mates before and after the game. It brings such a different background of people together. And I know for Guinness it brings French lads and Italians somehow. But
look, we were the same. We've had French guys for years as well, and even up until last year we had a few French players, and I think this year we've 2 Brazilians, 2 South Africans now. We're getting people from all over now. Like, it's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. That it's great to have the diversity there as well and hear the different backgrounds, and it really has brought people together in that sense, because like if you're coming over to Ireland, it's bad enough with the weather, but you're wanting to go out into that weather and play rugby with a couple of lads. Fair play.
And then the guy's stuck on the wing, and and the rain's coming sideways.
Yeah, no, it'll harden them, hair in the chest and all that.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, Paul, look, I want to give you some time here to kind of get that recruitment drive on, and maybe just tell us, everything that a new player, if they wanted to get down to BGF Ravens, what would they need to know? How to get in touch, what your training times are. I know you're deep into pre-season here at the moment, so the floor.
Yeah, we're heavy in the pre-season now. It's going well actually as well. So look, we train Tuesdays and Thursdays in Mount Temple on the Malahide Road. Look, anyone wants to get involved. We've had players that have zero experience up to a decent level. We've got a couple of good few coaches there that will we get lads up to scratch fairly quick. If they want to get in touch, it's either through our website bgfravens.com or any of the social media outlets like Facebook, Instagram, and we're fairly quick to reply as well. Like, so training times are 7:30 in the evenings as well, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, 100% easy. Let's go.
Yeah.
You get loads of this. I know we've a fairly good listening in Dublin, so if you are
do you know what? Like, I started listening when she got in contact with us, and I'm going through the back catalogue there. It's good listening. So yeah.
I appreciate that. And look, Paul, thanks so much for joining. It's huge, and it's a big part of the series. So I thank you again for that. We're two down.
Thank you for bringing us on. Yeah.
No, but I think it's 69 clubs they have to get through, so we're slowly getting through that. I'll have to get sponsorship just to keep me alive for these 69. But yeah, folks, that's Paul, obviously from BGF Ravens. You've all the information there. If you are looking to get down, I'll put all the information that Paul has given there in the page notes for this episode. And get involved in rugby. You don't need any experience, as Paul said. It's exactly what you want to do. It's great crack. You'll make great friends. And we're back with the next episode, which should be the Leinster versus Ulster women's preview coming up next week. So tune in for that. It's going to be the decider of who gets into that final, and hopefully it's Leinster versus probably Munster in the final if things go our way. But as always, thanks for listening.